like it. And some like super amazing secrets when it comes to cooking rice, for those who struggle with rice, basic seasoning, things like that. And so, yeah, let's just get everything out of the bags. Oxtails are expensive here, and I wish we could find like a better butcher, but this was $8.58 a pound, 4.71 pounds, $40.41 for oxtail. See here, here's all of our ingredients to make oxtail with zui and jonjon, basically rice and dried mushrooms. Okay, so you're going to need, and this is again my recipe and a combination of being Haitian, Cuban, American. Okay, so anyway, I know it looks like a lot of seasonings, but trust the process. Okay, so you have your dried mushrooms. If you can't get this, that's okay, because you'll still flavor the rice really good, and I'll teach you how to do that. And it doesn't have to be, it's for color and flavor, but if you don't have it, you'll just make a seasoned rice, which is fine. So you have your thyme, you have your rosemary. All right, this is very important. I'm Haitian. If it's not jasmine rice, long grain, this one is Thai long grain, but in Haiti we have a product, a rice, basically it's called Madame Gougou's. That's the one I prefer because, you know, I'm Haitian, but it's literally the same thing. It's a fragrant jasmine rice that is long grain. And you have also now your veggies. So tomatoes, could be plum tomatoes, regular tomatoes is fine. Bell peppers, carrots, pigeon peas. I got both, so you can either do frozen or you can do the canned pigeon peas. Coconut milk, that's for your rice, okay? Tomato paste. These are sour oranges. Again, if you know, you know. If you don't have sour oranges, limes will work just fine, or lemon, okay? Oh, and you're gonna need vinegar too, but I don't have it here. You have your scallions, curly parsley, you can do flat, onions. Now, I like to use like sweet onions. I'm not a fan of the other onions. Sweet onions. Let's go over here. And then you have your habanero peppers, saison, tropical. Again, so normally, and I'll do this on another episode, I would show you how to make our signature seasoning, our épice, which is a mixture of a lot of fresh herbs and spices. But again, this is just so you can do it right now. So you can use the saison tropical. This is a very good flavor. This is your burnt sugar, which is browning sauce. Well, it's to make it brown and to add a little sweetness. And if you don't know, if you can't find it, I can tell you how to, you don't have to use it. So frito, I like to use a tomato and the cilantro base as well. Now, I hate the taste of cilantro because it tastes like soap to me. Yes, I am one of those people where cilantro tastes like soap. But this cilantro base, you're not going to actually taste it for real because it's going to be mixed in with everything else. You want your complete seasoning, okay? Adobo, all-purpose seasoning. You're also going to have your garlic powder. Let me grab it because it's a little blurry. Your Saison coriander, Saison saffron. So these can come in also in packets and boxes too. So, but I actually, since they started putting them in the bottles like this, I prefer it. Some onion powder, and not everyone does this, but I like to add some red wine to my oxtails. It's up to you. You don't have to. And so, yeah, these are your seasonings. Also ginger. Ginger, yes. So, and then you also want to go ahead and get your oven nice and hot. Set my oven to 375 because this is not convection, but my oven at home is convection. And I had to reach out to the Haitian moms because I'm at my best friend's house. She doesn't have like the I want to say island pots, okay? So I needed a big pot for my oxtail. Again, if you know, you know. And I can throw that in the oven as well. And then something for my rice. And you're also going to need to boil some water to clean your meat and things like that, which I'll show you how to do. So let's get this water on the stove. All right, so let's go ahead and fill our pot with water. And this is to be able to clean your meat. Again, I'm going to be showing you the way I was taught, being Haitian-Cuban. So we actually will steam the meat a little bit. That's the process as we get it cleaned, okay? So we're going to put some water boil. If you have a tea kettle, that's even better. So just filling this up with water so that way it's enough to cover the meat once we're done cleaning it. And then go ahead and set it to high. And we're going to just cover it. All right, on to the next, which is the meat. All right, let's go ahead and get this meat out of the bag. So I like to keep a little bag near me where I can put all my trash and everything. That way when I'm done with that, you know, I don't have to worry about anything else. Just putting everything in that little trash bag. And if you're part of a black family, island family, you know, we keep our little grocery bags to put the trash in. Add vinegar. And I asked them to trim it at the butcher, so it's, you know, oxtail has fat, but this doesn't have as too much fat. But this is how they cut it anyway. So we're gonna add some vinegar. All right, let's get our veggies in the bowl so we can actually get them washed and prepped. So put your veggies in a bowl. You're gonna add vinegar, water, etc. So that way you can have some clean veggies. Okay, no dirty veggies in your food, please, people. I like to add vinegar to mine. When getting this together, my veggies in there. So now we're going to cut our sour orange to add to the oxtail, okay? So we can clean the oxtail. Now, look, I'm Haitian, okay? So if you're not comfortable using a knife, definitely don't do this way. You're going to squeeze that in there, the sour orange, or like I said, if you have lemon juice, lime juice, but we're going to be cleaning our meat. We call this in Creole zoange. And again, if you're not comfortable using a knife like this, I don't suggest you do. I've just been cooking since I could remember. Please use a cutting board. And not everyone puts tomatoes in their oxtail, but I do. But that's the great thing about cooking. You basically make it however you want. You don't really have to worry about what people do, what they don't do. It's your prerogative, right? Like, you want tomatoes, you put freaking tomatoes. Let's put this parsley in here so it can get nice and clean. Get these scallions in here. I'm going to go ahead and cut these pieces off real quick. Parts that I don't need. And again, don't be like me if you're not comfortable using a knife, definitely use a cutting board, okay? All right, let's get the rest of our veggies. We're going to also, you don't need much of these peppers, maybe just one or two. But if you like it really hot, to me, one is more than enough. And plus the way I'm gonna show you how to do it, that way you don't actually have heat, but you just have flavor. So to me, one is plenty. So let's continue washing our veggies and then just putting them to the side. Again, our trusty trash bag, boom, right there. Makes life so much easier. All right. These tomatoes out. I don't know what that is. That's not a bueno for me at all. And again, I just like to really get all my veggies prepped, so that way when it's time for me to start cutting, everything's already pre-washed, dried off. You know, makes my life so much easier. I know, again, it looks like a lot of veggies, but you know, just go ahead and wash them anyway. See why it's important to wash your veggies? Look how dirty that water is, guys. In case you didn't believe me, there is so much dirt. This is why we wash our veggies. So I'm just washing the bowl out. Alright. Now that that's washed, I can put my veggies back in the bowl. So that way, when it's time for me to cut and prep, everything is good to go. That's the water boiling, for sure. They're like, you don't need to clean your meat, blah, blah, blah. But I'm Haitian, and I clean my meat. Period. Just clean your meat. It's like you have to clean your meat. Okay. I'm done cleaning my meat, so I'm going to go ahead and dump this out so I can add my hot water. I'm going to grab my hot water. Let me wash my hands first. Clean hands. All right, let's get our hot water for, and we call this chauding, basically steaming, I would say, steaming our meat. Here we have our hot water. We're gonna go ahead and pour it over our meat. All right. Now that is extremely hot. Be careful. So you just want to make sure all of your meat gets in that really good, all that. Just like that. Like I said, this is how we were raised. This is what we know. If you ask any Haitian, Cuban, island person, I'm not sure about all the other islands, but I can very much guarantee this is how we clean our meat if you're Haitian, okay? So while that is sitting, I'm going to make our seasoning that we're going to be adding to our oxtail. So you have your bowl. I'm going to start with some red wine. It doesn't matter the kind. I just grab a cheap one. Okay, we're going to add that. And this is to season and marinate our oxtail. Now, like I said, I don't do it like everyone else. I cook for my family and myself, so I'm going to do it the way I think is best. You're going to get your sofrito. Let me open this up. This is what it looks like. Okay, so we're going to add some. It doesn't really have salt content like that. I add a generous amount. We do have a lot of meat that we need to marinate. So it's about 4 heaping tablespoons. I'm going to clean that up because I don't like leaving a mess. So I'm going to grab a napkin. Now everybody's different, but when I'm cooking, I just don't want to have more of a mess than I need to, okay? Our tomato-based sofrito. This is what it looks like. Add some of that to it as well. About the same amount. And this is building flavor, okay? So we're gonna build our flavor here. Our saison, add that. So now you want to start being mindful of how much you're adding. This is going to give a beautiful color and flavor. Now, let the spirits, let the ancestors let you know when to stop, okay? I season to my heart's desire, and I don't like to eat a lot of salty foods. All right, so adobo, all purpose. So we want flavor, we don't want it to be salty. And so we're gonna add that much for now. And then once we're done, we're gonna mix it and we're going to taste it as well. Your other saison with saffron. Add that. If you're not adding Saison to your meat, what are you doing? I mean, really, what are you doing? Let's mix that up a little bit. Look how beautiful that's looking already. So let me add the rest of my seasonings. Complete seasoning, Saison. And as you continue to get used to these seasonings, you'll know how much to add and how much not to add. I highly suggest that you taste them individually so you can understand their flavor profile. Okay. Our garlic powder. Now, I love garlic, so we're gonna add a generous amount, and we're also gonna add chopped garlic too. Yes, that much. Okay. Thank you. I have a lovely assistant in the background. You can't see her, but she's opening everything up for me. My onion powder. You can add a good amount as well. May you please get the chopped garlic in the fridge for me? Thank you, babe. So let's get this mixed up while my daughter opens up the other packets. I need the browning open, please, and the Saison over there, and along with this chopped garlic. So we're gonna mix this up. Let's add this chopped garlic. You can do fresh garlic if you want, and if you don't have it, just get some chopped garlic. Make your life so much easier. Generous amount of chopped garlic because we want flavor. Okay. You add this burnt sugar browning sauce, just a little bit, not too much. Like, my heart tells me to stop there, so that should be good. Now we're also gonna add some Saison Tropical. And again, these are just things you can add really quick. On another video, I'll show you how to make our Haitian épices. But if you don't, you can just grab a few of these. So this is what I always love to do, is literally get all my seasonings together, mix it in a bowl, and then taste it to make sure that it's going to be good. Get my marinade together. It just makes my life so much easier. Get that beautiful rich color. Let me tell you, this is going to make the ancestors very, very, very happy. So we're gonna taste it. This is how I was taught growing up. Take your hand, put a little bit on your hand. Again, if you're Haitian or Islander, you know. All right, it's telling me it needs a little something extra. So we're gonna go ahead and add a little bit more complete seasoning. Again, I don't add salt, so that's why you want to be able to add seasoning, but it's very difficult to take seasoning away. You do not want it salty. You're gonna mix it for me? It's my daughter's hand coming in to help mix. Thank you, babe. While she's doing that, I forgot to tell you, make sure you put a pot of water boil, because you're going to need to add your dried mushrooms for your rice, your jonjon, okay? This is a signature Haitian dish, rice dish that I'm teaching you. They call it black rice sometimes in English, but we call it ziri jonjon, okay? Mushroom rice. These mushrooms aren't going to go, the dried mushrooms aren't going to go in the rice, but what we're going to do is reconstitute it, strain it, and get the flavor from the mushrooms and the water and the color for our rice, okay? So put some water boil so you can add this to the water to rehydrate your mushrooms and to get that deep dark color from it. All right, thank you, baby girl. So let's taste it again and see. You want to taste it? Your little taste. Tell me if it's good. I'm gonna try a little bit myself. What do you think? It's good? All right, this is ready to go. The meat has been, as we say in Creole, chaudin, so it's ready to get dumped out, strained, and rinsed, okay? And rinse it off. Let me take out these oranges. Put it in the trash. This is why I keep a trash bag next to me, just a little bag, so that way I can just put everything in there. Now we're gonna rinse this out really, really good until it runs clear. Don't worry, you're going to clean and sanitize your sink because that's what we do here. We're not going to have raw meat in the sink and not actually clean and sanitize the sink afterwards. Like, who does that? First of all, you know, if you're from the islands, you definitely know how to clean because you know your mama and your daddy didn't play that anyway. Rinse that off a couple times. All right, perfect. So, adding the meat to the pot. This is our cleaned meat. This meat has been blessed by our ancestors. It's nice and clean. There's some fat on the oxtails, but not much. I do prefer my oxtails cut a little thicker, but this is the only way they had it available at the location that I was at. All right, so there. Now we're going to take our marinade that we already made. And this is why you have everything ready. Now, all the seasonings that we added, they're going to stain your hands, so use a glove or use tongs. So let's go ahead and pour this marinade over our meat. So we're going to mix our oxtail. So I already mixed it, as you can see. After adding the marinade, look how beautiful that looks, and we're going to let that sit. We're going to cut our veggies up to add to our pot. They're going to cook down, so I don't really have to cut them like the tomatoes that small. What happened? Oil for rice?
I know you're gonna need oils up here in a second.
Oh, thank you. All right, cutting up these tomatoes. And again, they don't have to be that small at all because guess what? They're going to cook down. That's my best friend in the background talking about me making social media content. She said nobody about to eat anytime soon, which is true because the parents, they're like, oh, well, we're gonna come eat over here. All right, that's cool. So normally it doesn't take me this long to get everything together, but because I'm filming, it's new for me. So let me know how I'm doing. All right, so I have my tomatoes cut.
You can use these garlic cubes too.
No, thank you. I have garlic already in there. I appreciate it though. That's get that off of me. It's cold. Do you have a best friend that likes to just literally mess with you the entire time? She's putting ice on me. You're breaking my concentration. Like, bro, stop. That's this. I have a knife in my hand. Jesus.
So stay focused.
Fix it, Lord. All right, so we're gonna add our tomatoes to our oxtails. Move this camera over here. Bam. Add the tomatoes. Thank you. Aw. Get you a best friend that'll make sure that your video quality is doing what it needs to do, okay? All right, so we added the tomatoes. All right, scallions, cutting that up. This is all going to literally cook down into your oxtail, so it doesn't have to be perfect. You know, I'm not here to teach you knife skills, okay? I'm just here to teach you how to make my version of oxtails. All right, perfect. That's done. I love parsley, guys. Like, oh, love, 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 love. Love me some parsley. Let's move these over. So the best way I learned to cut these herbs, is parsley an herb? I'm assuming it is. Roll it up, make it nice and tight, and then we're gonna just cut it up. You just need like a little bundle. I have long nails. You know, I know some people might be like, you need to wear gloves. Cooking for my family, and so my hands are clean. Don't come for me because I didn't send for anybody. Okay, and I always clean and wash everything. All right, that's all I need. as far as those. I don't use the stems, but if I was making Haitian ippies, I would definitely use the stems. Let's cut up our bell pepper. Take the seeds out. I like to have basically very easygoing cooking, right? So I don't want you to feel like, oh my God, this is so much pressure, whatever. No pressure at all. Oh, what I'm doing is basically removing the seeds and the stem. Just cut it in half, grab it, pull it out. Simple. Don't need to overcomplicate anything whatsoever. And since everything's already washed, it makes my life so much easier, you know? Now, everyone has their own way of prepping and making their food. I like to keep it super simple. Again, my veggies aren't like super perfect. They're not uniform because what's the point? It's not like I'm using them for presentation or garnish. They're going to be stewed and it's going to disappear pretty much in the oxtail sauce. And some people, you know, they might be like, that's a lot of veggies going into oxtail. Well, again, this is my recipe. This is how I love it. Everyone has their own recipe. And I like to make sure there's plenty of veggies in my food for my family. And this is one of the ways I can get tons of veggies in their food. And plus, we're going to eat this over rice as well. You know, so why not make sure there's plenty of veggies? Wow, I don't know if you can hear that, but that is the thunder. So clearly it's going to be pouring here soon. Maybe on another episode I'll teach you how to hold a knife and cut, but there's so many people that make those videos on how to use like proper knife skills. I don't think it's necessary to do it. I think you guys would be just fine. So we're gonna go ahead and add these veggies to our oxtail that's marinating. All right, adding our next set of veggies. We have our parsley, we have our red peppers, green bell peppers, scallions. We're gonna add that as well to our pot. Carrots were already washed and all good. I don't skin my carrots because that's just how I do it. If you want to skin your carrots, by all means, have at it. But no one's died from it that I know of. Some carrot skin. Plus, I'm pretty sure there's plenty of nutritional value in the skin of the carrot. So we're not going to cut these up super small either, because guess what? It's going to break down. So why even stress about it, you know? No stress at all. And I'm not going to cut them super small because they're going to break up. My oven's nice and hot. I'm going to throw this on the stove to get it going first before I toss it in the oven. That's just the way I do it. Normally when I'm home, my best friend, she doesn't have a pressure cooker here. I would, if I'm in a rush, I'll put it in a pressure cooker. Or if I'm not in a rush, it'll go in my oven, low and slow. But since today, we're working what we have. All right. Carrots, that's enough carrots. We're gonna go ahead and add our carrots as well to the pot. Carrots going in. Okay, now we're going to cut our onion. Again, doesn't need to be super small at all because again, all your veggies are going to pretty much break down. So I just cut them into big chunks. No stress. No stress whatsoever. All right, adding the onions to the stew, well, the marinade. And now we're gonna mix everything together. So as you can see, let me just come up here. We have our oxtail, we have carrots, we have our tomatoes, our bell peppers, our parsley, our green onions, our sweet onions, okay? We're gonna mix that all together, our green onions, aka scallions. We're gonna mix all this together with the oxtail. It's not even cooked, and my God, like, look at how delicious this already looks, guys. Like, seriously. Can you imagine when it's all cooked? It's going to be amazing. I love being able to cook for my friends and family. It reminds me of my grandmother. Bless her soul, she's no longer here. Her name was Jane Bedard. She's the sweetest lady, and one thing she taught us was that you may not have much, but if you can feed someone, you've blessed their soul. So she would always like cook for us, you know. And I feel like that's a lot of grandparents, that if you were blessed to be able to have a grandparent, or if you have a nona or a gaga, you know, everybody calls them something different depending upon where you're from, or just how you were raised to call your grandparent. If you were blessed with a grandparent, most likely that was one of the ways that they showed their love, was by basically cooking for you constantly, you know, making the best meals ever. All right, so that is mixed up enough. So let's take a good old look at it. Look at that. I don't know if I should use this for the thumbnail or what, but I'm just saying. And we're not even done. Like, now this is going to cook. Can you imagine the smell that's going to come off of this? Ugh, flavor overload. All right, let's go ahead and turn our stove on. We're going to put it on high for now. And again, I have the oven on, so we just want to get this cooking pretty quickly, and then we're actually going to put in the oven. Let's get our wonderful oxtail that we've been working on the stove. This is why I needed the old school pot, okay? Because there's no way the little pot that my best friend have here would even suffice. So we're not going to add any liquid to it. There's plenty of liquid in here from our marinade, and we're just going to cover it. And now we're going to focus on prepping our rice. So get that covered, and we'll be back in a few. You know what I forgot, guys? Listen, this is why we're not perfect. My ginger and my pepper. So this is how you peel ginger. They say use a spoon, so let's see if it works. It works. So go ahead and peel your ginger. And ginger, if you want to, you can add it. Not everyone adds ginger. This spoon thing is I don't know if I have the patience for the spoon. I honestly rather just use a little knife. Let me just use my knife to clean this, to peel this off. Be very careful, please, so you don't cut yourselves. You don't need too much ginger. Just enough for flavor. So I could have, you know, used the spoon, but like I said, I don't have time for all that. I can wash this ginger. I just washed off my knife real quick, and I'm just going to just pound it just to kind of release the essential oils and flavor in it, and I'm going to add it to my pot. I'm just doing, just not too much, just a little bit. And I do have to add our other herbs too, right? All right, so let me clean this off, and I'll be right back. All right, so you have your rosemary, your thyme, your ginger, and if you want, here's a little secret. You can just use like your parsley if you don't have like some kind of twine or something like that. I honestly just thought about it just now because I didn't realize that there was no twine here. I don't know why I forgot to get some. But this may and may not hold it. I don't think it will. But let's do a little something. A little something. Good enough. We're going to add this to our pot. As you can see, it's already starting to steam. We're just going to add this right there. This is why I like to start it stovetop and then in the oven. It smells so amazing. Cover that back up, and we need to get our pepper. So my secret to pepper, this super hot pepper here, is removing the seed. Since you're not used to doing this, please use gloves. So anyway, I go ahead and make sure I don't touch the inside at all. So be careful. If you don't have gloves, it's okay. And what I do, see, this is where the bulk of the heat is. So this is what I do. I remove these seeds, because this right here, those seeds, just one is out of control. So we're gonna just kind of scrape those off. And it's one pepper, 1/2 of a piece of a pepper, and all that in here as well. I should have used a smaller knife, right? Anyway, so just cut that off. If for whatever reason you were to get like the juices of the pepper on your fingers, please don't touch any part of your body, like your eyes, your mouth, your nose, or any of your intimate parts, because you will feel it for sure. So this is one of my secrets to being able to get the flavor without killing myself with the heat. All right, so take all that out. And I'm gonna actually add this to my pot, but I'm gonna cut it up a little bit more. Slice these up a little bit so they can really break down. And our oxtail, and when it's cut this small, usually I'm gonna be washing my hands anyway, so it's okay, but I usually wash my hands with lemon juice and vinegar to combat the spiciness of these juices, or whatever you want to call it. Turn it this way. So again, just cutting these up a little smaller. Now, I've always done it like this, and I've never had anyone, and not everyone can eat, you know, anything like spicy food in my home. But because of the way it's cooked and everything breaks down so well, I haven't had anyone really complain. Well, I haven't had anyone complain about, oh my God, it was really spicy, I got a hot pepper, whatever. So let's go ahead and add that to our pot as well. And then I'm going to, once I'm done with that, I'm going to wash my hands. You can see, like, I know I touched it, but I don't want to touch it too much. It was just my few fingertips. All right, and I have to, there's that pepper, but this is optional. You do not have to add this, okay? It's very hot. Let's add it to our pot. All right, adding it to our pot. That smells amazing. Add this pepper to it. And I'm actually going to stir this up, and then I'm going to toss it in the oven soon. All right, so we added the pepper to it, that very hot pepper that we chopped up. Don't worry, it's going to break up in here, and we took out the seeds and the membrane, so you're gonna have more flavor, very little heat, especially for the amount of food that it needs to season. I'm gonna go ahead and mix this up really well, and then cover it up and add it to our oven. Look at how delicious that looks. Look at all those wonderful veggies. They're gonna break down. It smells amazing in here, guys. Amazing. We're gonna cover this up and let it do its thing. So now this sounds like it's at a rapid boil. Look at that. Now we're gonna go ahead and put it in the oven. Here we have our oven set to 375. So we can go ahead and turn the heat off. And this is going to go in the oven. Be very careful. You know it's really hot, right? So I love these types of pots because they can just go right in there. We're gonna leave it covered and it's gonna do its magic. So remember the mushrooms, the dried mushrooms, and we have put it in the clear water, and we put the water boil so it can hydrate the mushrooms. So now the water is no longer clear. This is what we're after, this liquid gold right here. And what we're going to do is we're going to let it sit for a little bit longer. Since our oxtail's in the oven, literally no rush, but we're gonna let this sit a little longer, and then we're going to strain it and make our rice. We're going to let our oxtails cook in the oven, I would say about 2 to 3 hours until fork tender. Oxtails, excuse me, aren't cut very thick, then it'll probably cook much faster. And then if you have a convection oven, that makes it go faster too. As you can hear, we have thunder and rain and all that going on here, but we're making a very wonderful, delicious comfort food. All right, let's see how our oxtails are doing. Oh man, look at that. That is looking amazing. I mean, do you see? Okay, come on now. I don't even need a fork to show you like how tender this is getting, or already is. Let's just give it a good mix. See, when it's starting to fall off the bone like that, that's how you know. Okay, so since this is my daughter's in the taking pictures for herself. Anyway, so mix that up really good. That looks amazing. Amazing, amazing, amazing. All right, so we're gonna cover it back up and let it do its thing, and we're going to get the rice going. Now that the liquid from, or the broth, I would say, from the dried mushrooms, it's good. Now we're going to strain it. We're also going to go ahead and get our pot together to start making the rice. So let's add some olive oil so that could start heating up. So we're going to have to cook some of our veggies in here. The mushroom broth, and what I did was basically strain it, and as you can see, this is the dried mushrooms that's been rehydrated, and you want to squeeze all of that beautiful brown liquid in it. And we're going to add it back to the pot, and I like to actually get this boiling, so then when it's time for me to add it to my rice, it's already hot and I don't have to wait for it to come to a boil. Now we're going to wash our rice. So you want to measure out your rice. So how much rice should you put? But just follow the instructions on the bag. And so the instructions for the rice, okay, preparation in medium saucepan, blah, 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 1 cup rice, 2 cups water. That's pretty much it, okay? So make sure I have enough rice for my pot, and please wash your rice. So that's what we're going to do right now, is wash this rice. As you can see, the rice water is very dirty. So you want to wash your rice until it runs clear. And you can use a strainer. My best friend, she doesn't cook often, so she doesn't have a strainer here. So I'm doing it the old school way, just using my hands. And every time you wash the rice, you'll see the water getting clearer and clearer. All right, our rice is nice and clean. So now to our pan. And we're going to add all of our spices to get those cooking. So first, have your pan on medium heat, and that's olive oil in there. We're going to add a generous amount of garlic, chopped garlic. And the great thing about having your spices, you can use them interchangeably. So add some of our sofrito, our 2 different types. Turn the heat up a bit because your pan is going to cool down. So let's turn that up, so you don't want it to cool completely down as you're adding these different herbs and veggies. And you're also going to add tomato paste as well. So let's give this a good stir. Turn the heat up. So as you can see how once we added the veggies, well, the sofrito and the garlic, it slowed down. Well, it cooled off the pan a bit. So you definitely want your pan nice and hot, but not ridiculously hot to where you're going to burn any of this. So let's add about that much tomato paste. And we like to cook these first. This is how you're going to build an amazing depth of flavor. So let's go ahead and get this going. Get a bigger piece. Alright. So I like to make sure I have everything ready, because it's going to go pretty fast, alright? So let that cook and brown for about, I want to say until it starts to caramelize, but you don't want it to burn. But you definitely want to cook those spices and the tomato paste and the garlic. Alright, so that is nice, and as you can see how it's really caramelized. Let's add our pigeon peas. You could do frozen or canned. We're going to do frozen pigeon peas, but you don't have to do pigeon peas. You can do black beans, and just use the beans that you like. Okay, pigeon peas. Let me see if you can see it. There you go. And we're adding that to our hot oil. Turn that heat up. I turned the heat down earlier, so I'm turning it back up. And we're going to just brown and get all that coated really, really well. So make sure your heat is up, but not to where you're going to burn it. If you're not that great at maintaining heat control, make sure you're scraping the bottom of the pan, because that's all that yummy goodness. Then definitely turn your heat down, okay? Now we're going to add our different seasonings to our beans. And remember, that's the complete Saison seasoning. You can't take away, but you can always add. So be mindful of how much seasoning you're adding. Okay, this is going to give it a beautiful color. Garlic powder or onion powder over there, can you please see that? Thank you. And like I said, this goes pretty fast because we want it to have a very good caramelization. You can turn the heat down a bit so it doesn't burn. Forget your onion powder. And we're going to mix that, and then we're going to add our rice as well. So now we're going to add our rice that we washed. That's why you want to always have everything ready, so that way when it's time, it can go go pretty quickly, right? We're not trying to figure things out or not have something, you know. So we're going to toss that with our rice. And because we have our water boiling, our mushroom water, or mushroom broth, in another pot, it's going to definitely help us as far as making sure this comes up to a pretty quick boil as well. Because remember, we let all the spices and the sugars from like the tomato paste and those veggies in the sofrito caramelize at the bottom of this pot. So mix that up really good, coat your rice really good. And now you're going to add your boiling mushroom broth. And if you notice that you have more than what you probably need for your rice, that's okay. Just don't pour it all in there. This is about understanding everything. So normally if we cook it, you know, we pour it to where the rice makes a little mound in the middle. And I'll show you how to do that in another episode of just maybe we'll just focus on how to make just rice by itself. So now we're going to let that come to a boil, and we're going to taste it once it comes to a boil. So now once it comes to a rapid boil like this and it reduces to this amount of liquid, you're going to turn your heat all the way down to low and cover it, and don't uncover it for the next 30 minutes. All right, let's check our oxtail. I uncovered it. Look at how beautiful this oxtail looks. And I stirred it. Look at that. Oh my God. And then remember I said fork tender, but who needs a fork? Look at how tender this is. It's just coming off the bone. Just absolutely delicious. Take a little piece so we can try it. Let's see if I can get a little piece here. It's just so tender. Look at that. Wow. So tender. Amazing. Let me grab that and taste it. All right, plating our food. So we have the rice. Looks absolutely fluffy and delicious, and the oxtail. Grab some of those carrots. And there you have it. My yellow rice. It should have been mushroom rice, but that's okay. And savory oxtail. Let me know what you think. Enjoy. All right, so now we're going to taste what we made. Just this right here. I know I'm eating on the pool table, but don't mind me. Oxtail. When I tell you guys, it's so delicious. Rice is perfect. We're gonna call it yellow rice and not D and Junjun, because it definitely doesn't have the color that it's supposed to have. But this oxtail, guys, my goodness, like look at how good. So tender. You need to make this, okay? Trust me, trust the process. Let me know if you enjoyed the video. Let me know if you have any questions. I will do my best to put the measurements in the bottom of this YouTube video. But you learn to cook with me, you'll just, the ancestors will tell you when enough is enough, okay? Love you. Thanks for joining me. Leave a like, subscribe, and yeah, have a great day.